You know, usually when we talk about gravity, we're talking about physics, right?
Yeah.
The force that keeps your feet on the ground.
And the planets and their orbits, yeah.
Exactly. But I was reading through these transcripts and historical records from 15th century Bengal, and I found this concept of what I can only call spiritual gravity.
That is a very evocative way to put it.
Well, it was the only way I could wrap my head around the claims being made here. We have this figure, Nityananda Prabhu, or Nitai, as he's often called, who is presented as the source of that gravity.
Right.
And the texts don't just say he's a saint, they say he's the literal foundation of the universe, the original guru. And the hook that really grabbed me is this insistence, you know, in the source material that you can't bypass him. You literally cannot access the divine or even find peace without going through his specific mercy first.
It is a bold claim, isn't it? I mean, it's not just, here's a teacher, it's, here's the gateway.
The gateway, that's it.
And to understand Nityananda, we have to look at a pretty diverse stack of sources today. We've got biographies, theological treatises, and these oral traditions of miracles that are frankly mind-bending.
Yeah, some of them are pretty wild.
But the mission here isn't just to retell folklore. We need to understand the theology that allows for these stories. Why does this tradition insist that Nityananda is the other half of the equation?
Right, you can't have the whole without him. And looking at the notes, it seems like we have to start with an identity crisis, or I guess the lack of one. The sources throw a term at us immediately: Balarama Tattva.
Yes.
Now, I know Tattva usually means something like truth or essence, but in this context, it feels like it's defining a specific category of divinity.
It is. And this is really the cornerstone of the whole philosophy. To understand Nityananda in the 15th century, you have to rewind to the ancient Puranic texts. You have Krishna, the Supreme Personality, and then you have his older brother, Balarama.
The brother who is always seemingly in the background.
Visually, perhaps. But theologically, Balarama is the first expansion. The texts describe it as, well, they say it's one identity, two forms.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Think of it like a candle lighting another candle. The quality of the fire is exactly the same, but now you have two distinct entities that can interact. Balarama exists solely to serve Krishna.
So the logic follows that when Krishna descends as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
To start the whole bhakti movement in Bengal, yeah.
to start that movement, Balarama has to come too.
Exactly. It's a mirrored theology. If Chaitanya is the avatar of mercy, the distinct form of Krishna, then Nityananda is the avatar of service.
The distinct form of Balarama.
The distinct form of Balarama. The source material is adamant about this. You can't separate them. If you try to worship one without the other, the texts basically say you're missing the point entirely.
This is where my notes on cosmic geography got a little wild. Because we aren't just talking about two guys walking around a village in India.
No, not at all. This is where we move from biography to metaphysics.
It says here that Nityananda is the source of Sankarsana. Now, for the listener who isn't steeped in Vedic cosmology, Sankarsana is described as the force that sustains gravity.
Correct. So in this cosmological model, the universe isn't just floating in a void, it's being actively held up. Sankarsana is the adhesive force of existence.
And it goes further.
Oh, it goes much further. He's the source of Shishanaga, the divine thousand-headed serpent that Lord Vishnu rests upon.
Which is a wild image. But then it keeps going deeper. He's also the source of the Vishnu forms lying in the cosmic oceans.
The Mahavishnu, the Garbhodakoshai Vishnu, yes. The texts describe these vast oceans, the causal ocean, the milk ocean, where the seeds of universes are generated.
And the claim is that Nityananda, the person walking in simple robes in West Bengal, is the fountainhead of all those cosmic forms.
That's the claim.
It creates such a massive paradox. You have a figure who is allegedly holding up all the planets, yet his mood isn't, I am the Almighty. His mood is, well, it's remarkably chill.
Chill is one way to say it. I'd probably say compassionate. He carries the weight of the universe so that others don't have to.
I was really struck by that line from the poet Narottama Dasa Thakura. He writes, Nitai Pada Kamala, Korti Chandra Susitala.
His lotus feet are as cooling as 10 million moons.
That's the one. It's such a specific metaphor. Why moons? Why not 10 million suns?
Well, think about the context of life in a tropical climate, or really life anywhere. The sun is heat. It represents the burn of material existence,
The struggle, the anxiety.
the grind of survival. It exhausts you.
So the sun is the burnout.
Precisely. And the moon is relief. It's cooling, soothing light. So Narottama Dasa is saying that the mercy of Nityananda isn't just enlightenment in some, an intellectual sense. It's a profound, visceral relief from the heat of existence.
It cools the fire of material suffering. That resonates. I think everyone, regardless of their spiritual belief, understands that feeling of just needing the heat to break. So we have this cosmic sustainer who doubles as a cooling moon. Let's ground this in his actual life story. Because for a guy who holds up the universe, he started in a pretty obscure place.
A tiny village called Ikachakra, West Bengal, 1473.
And his childhood seems eccentric. His parents, Adai Pandis and Padmavati, name him a Kubera. But the notes say he didn't play normal kids' games.
No.
No tag, no marbles.
No. For the first 12 years, his play was strictly reenactment. He and his friends would stage these elaborate plays of the Ramayana or Krishna's pastimes.
But not just, hey, let's pretend.
Yeah.
The neighbors were apparently freaked out by how accurate it was.
It was a total absorption. The texts say he would direct the other children with perfect precision, knowing details of the stories that, he hadn't formally learned yet. He was reliving his own previous lives, essentially.
A state of constant devotional trance. But then comes the plot twist at age 12. And this part, I have to say, it reads like a tragedy to me. A traveling ascetic, a sannyasi named Lakshmi Pati, comes to town.
And in Vedic culture, the guest is God. You give him what they ask for.
So Lakshmi Pati visits Adai Pandit's home, takes a meal, and then just drops the bomb.
Yeah.
He asks for Nityananda as his travel companion.
He asked for the kid.
He asked for their son, and the father agrees. I mean, I know the cultural context of Dharma, but that has to be devastating.
Oh, the sources don't shy away from that pain. They compare Adai Pandit to King Dasharatha in the Ramayana, who died of a broken heart when Rama was sent into exile.
Wow.
Adai Pandit agrees because his duty to the renounced order is paramount, but the text describes him as a fish out of water. He was thrashing in agony.
So Nityananda walks out the door at 12 years old. Does he ever come back?
Never. He leaves Ekachakra and becomes a wandering pilgrim for the next 20 years.
20 years, that's a lifetime in that era.
Roughly. He tours the entire subcontinent, Gaya, Kashi, Mathura, Dwarka, all the way down to the southern temples. And the phrasing in the source is interesting here.
What does it say?
It says he traveled to purify the holy places.
Wait, usually people go to holy places to get purified.
Exactly. But the implication here is that Nityananda is the source of holiness. By visiting these places, he was recharging them, essentially, restoring their spiritual potency.
Which brings us to 1506, the convergence. Nityananda is 32, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is 20, and has just started his movement in Nadia.
And the sources describe this meeting like the two halves of a magnet are finally getting close enough to snap together.
It's the reunion of Balarama and Krishna. But there's this playfulness to it.
Yes, Nityananda arrives in town and he hides. He stays at the house of a devotee named Nandanacharya.
And Chaitanya, who is supposedly all-knowing, he plays along with the game. He sends his top guys, Haridas and Srivas, to go find a great personality who has arrived.
They search the whole town.
And come back empty-handed. We looked everywhere, there's no one.
What's the point of that charade?
I think it's a lesson. The theology is that you can't find Nityananda using your own senses or intellect. You can't just look for him.
Chaitanya himself has to lead you.
Right, so Chaitanya smiles, stands up, and takes them directly to the Nandanacharya's house.
And the scene when they walk in, the descriptions are incredibly vivid.
Nityananda is sitting there, and he's described as having this lustrous white complexion, again, the Balarama link-long arms, a deep, melodious voice, but he's in a state of, suspended animation.
He's just staring at Chaitanya, unblinking. Tears are running down his face, and when they finally acknowledge each other, it's an explosion.
Chaitanya embraces him, and Nityananda just collapses. The texts say they were swimming in the ocean of ecstasy.
It's intense emotion. I think that's what distinguishes this tradition from the more, dry, ascetic paths of Indian philosophy. This isn't about sitting in silence. It's about feeling everything at max volume.
Absolutely. Bhakti is the yoga of emotion.
It thrives on that connection.
Speaking of things that are max volume, we have to talk about the miracles. The source material shifts gears here from biography to what I can only call reality bending.
And these stories serve a specific function in the text. They establish authority. To the faithful, these aren't just magic tricks. They are proofs that material laws obey Nityananda, not the other way around.
Okay, so let's look at the story of the rice. This happens at Mother Sachi's house, Chaitanya's mom. She's serving lunch to the two of them.
Right, and you have to remember, to Sachi, Chaitanya is just her son, Nimai. But as she's serving the rice, a vision overtakes her.
And suddenly, she doesn't see two monks.
She sees Rama and Lakshmana, the warrior princes from the ancient epic.
And then it glitches again.
It shifts. She sees them as four-armed Vishnu forms, holding the conch, chakra, club, and lotus. And then finally, she sees them as two small children. One dark, one white, crawling around the room, holding butter.
That is a lot to process over lunch.
It was too much. She fainted. And the text says the rice she was serving went flying everywhere. It's a very human detail, the shattering of the domestic scene by the cosmic reality.
I like the story of the crow even better, because it feels like a fable. Nityananda is staying with Srivasthakur, and a crow swoops down and steals a bell metal bowl used for holding ghee.
And this wasn't just a kitchen bowl, it was a puja vessel meant for worship. So in that culture, losing a deity utensil to a scavenger bird is highly inauspicious.
The housewife, Malini, is distraught. She's weeping.
And Nityananda's reaction is just total command.
Yeah.
He doesn't panic, he doesn't throw a rock, he simply speaks to the crow.
He orders it to bring the bowl back.
And the crow, defying every instinct it has to hoard shiny objects, flies back and drops the bowl.
It's a small miracle, but it makes a point about hierarchy, doesn't it? Even the birds are listening.
But the Impossible Flowers story is probably the most visually striking. This happens at the Panahati festival.
Right, Nityananda is sitting there, surrounded by thousands of people, and he suddenly demands a garland of Kadamba flowers.
Now, for the listener, the Kadamba flower is very specific to Krishna theology, but the problem was logistical. They were completely out of season.
It's like asking for fresh sunflowers in the middle of a snowy winter.
It's biologically impossible. But he tells a devotee, Raghav Pandit, go check your lemon tree.
You can just imagine Raga's hesitation. It's a lemon tree, and it's not flowering season.
But he goes home, walks into his garden, and the lemon tree is ablaze with Kadamba flowers.
That is, well, it's terraforming, basically.
It signals that nature itself is flexible when he desires it. The lemon tree changed its output to satisfy him.
Okay, so we've established he has the power. But let's get to the core of his role. We touched on it in the intro, this idea that he's the gatekeeper. The sources are very strict about this rule. No mercy from Chaitanya without mercy from Nityananda. Why the middleman?
I think it's about accessibility. The source material suggests that the absolute truth Krishna, Chaitanya, is high voltage. It's intense. It's pure justice and high philosophy. Nityananda represents the strength to approach that.
And the notes mention his specific focus on the fallen.
That is his trademark. Chaitanya was often in deep, secluded trances. Nityananda was the one hitting the streets. He didn't go to the pious Brahmins who knew all the scriptures.
He went to the drunkards, the outcasts.
The criminals. The story of Jagai and Madhai is the famous one here.
It is. These were two brothers who were essentially warlords of the district. Drunkards, violent, dangerous men.
And when Nityananda approached them to ask them to chant, they actually attacked him. Madhai threw a clay pot and hit Nityananda on the forehead, drawing blood.
And in any other action movie, this is where the hero beats them up.
Right. But Nityananda's response was, "You hit me, but I still love you. Please take this holy name."
Wow.
That reaction, that sheer illogical compassion, it broke them. They repented on the spot and became saints.
That is the mercy element. He validates you not because you're good, but because he's generous.
Exactly. He doesn't check your resume.
He also broke the mold by getting married, didn't he?
He did, which was radical. Most of Chaitanya's inner circle were renunciates. But late in his pastimes, Nityananda married two sisters, Janavadevi and Vasudha, and had children.
So this established that spiritual authority wasn't just limited to monks.
Right. It could exist within a household or framework.
Oh.
His son, Virabhadra, and his wife, Janavadevi, actually became the leaders of the movement after he left.
Speaking of leaving,
Well,
a disappearance, how does a figure like this exit the stage? The accounts seem to diverge a bit here.
they do. The oral tradition gives us two variations, both centered in Ekachakra.
Variation 1.
He enters the temple of Bankimre, the Krishna deity there, and just merges.
Mhm.
He walks into the statue and never walks out. His body unites with the deity form.
And variation 2 is even more mystical.
Variation 2 says he was dancing in a curtain surrounded by devotees, and he simply vanished into thin air, dematerialized.
Just gone.
Gone. The theological takeaway is the same in both cases. He is Nitya, eternal. He didn't die in a mortal sense, he just withdrew his visible form.
So when we step back and look at this whole picture, the gravity, the moon, the miracles, the street preaching, what is the takeaway for the modern listener?
Yeah.
We have this learner profile we think about. Someone who wants the truth, but is intimidated by the complexity of it all.
I think Nityananda is the answer to that intimidation. The texts are saying that you don't need to be smart enough or pure enough or disciplined enough to start. You just need to connect with the force that is those things for you.
It's the idea of the intermediary.
Yes. If the absolute truth is the sun too bright, too hot to touch, Nityananda is the moonlight. He makes the infinite accessible. He is the bridge.
Don't try to jump across the ocean on your own.
Take the boat. He is the boat.
That's a powerful place to land. It makes me wonder, even outside of this specific theology, who is that for us? In any pursuit of knowledge or mastery or peace, who is the Nityananda? Who is the person or the force that takes the impossible and makes it accessible?
Who bridges that gap?
Who bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be?
That is the question to meditate on.
Something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll see you in the next one.